Welcome back. I'm so honored to have you here. And today we are talking about the real reason you are stuck in chronic stress and burnout. And this idea to talk about this today actually was very impromptu and came from me outlining and creating the holistic health coaching one on one offer that is going to be available later today. I just have to finalize a few things. So if you want one of those spots, definitely reach out, let me know. However, it is not yet live. The sales page for it and the breakdown of it. However, as I was going through this and looking at the importance of a holistic approach, because a lot of people are thinking, well, I just need the nutrition, I just need the health. And I do those too. I do health I do fitness and nutrition programs strictly as well. However, when you get to 35 plus, the reality is you've been trying a lot of that most your life. And if you are in this state of either yo-yoing back and forth with your results or not seeing the results you should be seeing from a nutrition and a fitness plan, stuff like this needs to be addressed. And I feel as though, when we were in our 20s, the reality is you could push through things and there wasn't as much of an accumulation. And so, yeah, maybe just implementing strictly the nutrition, strictly the fitness worked. However, I chronically have people coming to me and saying, I've been working with these coaches and I'm not getting the results. I'm not losing the weight or I'm not feeling better. And I'm following their meal plan. And one issue often is they're eating way too little. The nutrition plans are such low calories for them. So that's one issue that we fix. But the other issue I say to them is, all right, let's start tracking with your Fitbit, whether they have a Fitbit or not. Let's get you tracking. Let's look at what's your heart rate variance? What's your sleep looking like? How much time are you in deep sleep? And we start to look at different factors within their life, and that can give us insight into what's going on with things like the vagus nerve or your nervous system as well. However, another way you can just tell if someone has a vagus nerve issue is tightness. That's what we're going to talk about today. Tightness. Because when we look at the vagus nerve, and I have images for you guys, but when it's coming out of the neck and moving down into the chest and abdomen, if you are really tight up through your neck and your upper traps, so that's what this muscle is up here, is your upper traps. And if you're tight through the upper traps in your neck, well, one, your shoulders are going to be up by your ears, right? So that's one way you can tell is you have this tightness. Maybe even you're rolled forward a little bit, right? So if you look at your posture, your shoulders aren't in alignment, they're rolled forward a little bit. That's another way you can see it. But that tightness is proven to, right? Research shows it's proven to cut off the vagus nerve from the rest of the body. And as part of my mind body certification that I went through with the Embody Lab, a lot of training done with the Embody Lab. They're lovely over there. This was a piece that we looked at was the disconnection of the mind body system. And when we have that disconnection of the mind body system through the vagus nerve being cut off, well, that has a follow along effect of being stuck in chronic stress and burnout. So if you are feeling as though you're running on empty constantly, maybe you're even looking at your Fitbit, or maybe you haven't, right? How much deep sleep are you getting? I want to put that out there first. Look at your Fitbit, start tracking how much deep sleep are you getting. This is a huge factor. You might get 8 hours of sleep, but get 20 minutes of deep sleep. That's going to be an issue, right? So start getting in the habit of tracking your Fitbit. How much deep sleep are you getting? But two, we want to start looking at, maybe you are getting an hour and a half of deep sleep a night, but you're still feeling like you're constantly running on empty with one foot on. I like to describe it with my clients is, does it feel like one foot's on the gas and the other's on the brake? And they'll be like, oh my goodness, that's the best analogy I've ever heard. So they've tried, when clients come to me by this point, they've tried all the supplements, right? They've hired the health coach. They've hired the hormone specialist that's just pumping supplements at them. They've tried the different strategies that they're told they should be doing, the diets they should be doing, but nothing seems to be working. And maybe you can relate to this. It's the vagus nerve. I can nearly guarantee we're going to have an issue with the vagus nerve. And no one's talking about this. And I think in the health and fitness field, it's still not really known much about. And that's where my history is so beneficial, bringing it into stronger functional fitness as a holistic approach, because a lot of people that have studied health and fitness aren't actually even trained on the nervous system and psychology as well, which I am. So, with the vagus nerve, no matter how many supplements you take, how many quick fixes you try, how many diets you do, nothing, it's not going to work long term. And if you've been dealing with that chronic stress, the adrenal fatigue, or even burnout, what I'm about to share in this training, if you will, I don't know how to term it. This audio, if you're listening on the podcast, this training video, if you're on YouTube, it might actually surprise you. And I'm hoping it opens up a perspective that allows you to start actually seeing results, because that's ultimately what I want to see, is for you to see results. And for you to see results, we need to look at the root cause. And I know it's not sexy. It's a lot sexier to say, lose 30 pounds in 30 days. That's also not healthy, but it's a lot sexier to say something like that. It's not very sexy to say, let's work on your vagal tone. But ultimately, working on your vagal tone is going to be what pays off long term, right? So again, that's why I have that holistic coaching package for you guys. So with the vagus nerve, it's one of the longest nerves in your body. It runs from your brain. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the image. It runs from your brain down through the neck and into your chest and abdomen. Well, if we look at the vagus nerve and how it runs through your neck, and remember what I said, that upper trap, if it's tight, or if your shoulders are rolled forward, well, we can see how it makes the pathway down the front of our neck into our chest. And again, if you're up here with your shoulders up by your ears and your shoulders rolled forward, you're essentially impinging that nerve. And maybe a good example to help, a lot of people deal with sciatica, right? Deal with issues with their sciatic nerve. Sciatica is the sacral, the sciatic nerve being impinged. It's exactly the same thing, right? So we impinge this nerve in our neck, and then we cut off that communication. And it's due to that tight, tacked down tissue. And in a society where we are sitting so much, whether at a desk, driving, whatever the case may be, it's very easy to get tightness through the upper traps in the chest muscles. As I'm saying this, I keep reminding myself, like, shoulders back, Ashley. It's very easy to get tightness through there and cut it off. Well, then what happens? The vagus nerve is a key part of your parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for calming your body down after stress. Well, if we have a nerve that is cut off between the brain body, and that nerve that is cut off between the brain body is responsible for calming you down after stress, but it can't communicate between the brain body, well, what happens? You can't calm down. Right? So essentially, the vagus nerve is like your body's brake, helping you move from stressed, fight or flight, back to a calm, relaxed state where essentially healing and recovery can happen. But we can't do that when that is cut off. So from this place, I'll have clients come to me and say, I've worked with all the health coaches, I've worked with all the hormone specialists, all the perimenopause and menopause specialists. I'm taking all these supplements, I'm doing all these things. I've tried intermittent fasting, I've tried every diet that exists. What is wrong with me? Like, is this just, and maybe you found yourself saying this too, is this just getting older? Is this just the impact of getting older? And I'm here to tell you it's not. And we need to address this. And especially in a society that is stationary a lot of the time, sitting, like I said, sitting in an office at a desk, ultimately creating the perfect conditions for vagus nerve dysfunction and a low vagal tone. We need to look at this, because if we're not looking at this, I just want to ask you, the average person that comes to me is spending like $400 a month plus on supplements that aren't even working and aren't even addressing the issue. But it gives the illusion of a quick, easy fix. But what if, just putting it out there, imagine if we actually solved the root cause of the issue. We improved your posture. We loosened the tightness in your neck, tightness in your chest, strengthened your back, strengthened your lower traps and your middle traps. And you were functional again. Your body was in balance again. So even if you got stressed, because that's a normal part of life, even if you got stressed, you were able to calm down. That's what I'm offering to you when we look at the vagus nerve. Now, a key concept when it comes to the vagus nerve is vagal tone. Vagal tone refers to how well your vagus nerve functions. So you might have heard this before, right? Vagal tone. There's certain humming vibrations you can do to tone the nerve. But again, if it's cut off, it's cut off. And no amount of humming is going to fix that. We need to make sure we're stretching the tissue that has been impacted by sitting and body dysfunction and misalignment. And then we can look at also then, okay, what practices can we implement that directly strengthen the vagal nerve tone? So a higher vagal nerve tone means your body is better at recovering from stress and switching back into a relaxed state. And when the vagal tone is low, your body stays stuck in fight or flight, which can lead to chronic stress, burnout, and adrenal fatigue. I know that's a big one. And again, I've already said this, but there's research that shows you hold tension. When you hold tension in your neck and your upper traps, it can actually cut off that vagus nerve. Again, guys, I just want to reiterate and underline it's responsible for helping your body calm down and recover from stress. So if it is cut off, you cannot switch out of fight or flight. You are therefore in a constant state of stress. And I work with a lot of women that have ADHD in my elite human design consulting business, and I have ADHD as well. And another thing I notice is that when my vagal tone is low and I have a lot of tightness in my neck and my traps and my chest, right? So if I'm going through maybe a launch or something and I'm working a little bit more, I'm at my desk and really focused, I might lean forward and my shoulders roll forward, right? So I'm tightening the chest, getting that forward head roll a bit. So I'm getting tightness in my cervical and thoracic vertebrae. And as that starts to build up, that tension starts to build up, I notice my ADHD symptoms get a lot worse. I notice a huge amplification of my ADHD symptoms to the point where it plays games with my head because I think, oh my goodness, do I need to be doing something to treat my ADHD? No, I need to be addressing the tightness that is cutting off my vagus nerve. And so I see this a lot with people as well as they go, Ash, like I need different supplements. I heard about these supplements for perimenopause or menopause or for reducing stress. Like I'm always stressed out, or my Fitbit, it's showing I'm not getting enough deep sleep. So I'm obviously thinking about things at night and not able to really rest. Let's look here first. Let's address this first. Because again, this is the nerve responsible, This is the nerve that is responsible for helping you calm down. And you will not be able to if there is tightness in your neck, upper traps, and chest. This is also, guys, when we look at the vagus nerve, it's not just about physical health, right? There's a lot of physical health benefits to improving your posture to free up that vagus nerve. It's going to decrease headaches, back pain, lower back pain, like even upper backs. When you have poor posture, your thoracic vertebrae and your upper back, oh man, it's tight, right? And then what do? Your upper back's tight, so you stretch your upper back more, which makes the whole situation worse because you're stretching the muscles that are already lengthened, which is tightening the chest, right? So people do a lot of forward falls and such in yoga to stretch out their back. You want to strengthen the back, right? So physical health, yeah, we're looking at when your upper chest is tight, there's a lot of pain that will come with that, headaches that will come with that, waking up sore and stiff in the neck, even jaw pain, TMG, or TMJ. A lot of issues can starting to steamroll and gain momentum when you have poor posture, even bulging discs. So you might end up with bulging discs, herniated discs. I have a client that just came to me and she cracked one of her vertebrae. And this was about a month ago. And she came to me, she's like, I need rehab to get back in shape. And it was like her posture's atrocious. right? And so she was afraid prior to finding me to lift weights. She was like, no, it's going to make me really bulky. I don't want to lift weights. But her posture was atrocious and her shoulders were rolled forward. And I'm like, this is why you're having so many issues with your bulging disc, herniated disc, and a cracked vertebrae, is one, you're not lifting weights. You don't get bulky by accident. And two, we have chronic tightness in the body. So again, it's when we look at fixing your vagus nerve and your vagal tone through improving posture, yes, you're going to have physical health benefits, but it's also the mental and emotional health too. When it's cut off from your body, the vagus nerve, not only do you have no ability, truly no ability to move from stressed fight or flight to rest and digest, but it's going to impact your ability to focus. Like I said, if you have ADHD, it's going to amplify your ADHD symptoms. You're going to struggle to think clearly, especially because even if we take the vagus nerve out of it and we just look at the fact that chronic pain and tightness absolutely impacts your ability to focus and think clearly. And it's going to impact your ability to feel calm. Well, this is going to steamroll into things like, are you making the right decisions? Or are you making decisions that maybe you're frustrated and in pain? So you're just making decisions in the moment that maybe don't serve you long term. This will all steamroll into other areas of life. Now, for my ADHD and human design clients, again, big barrier, getting out of hyperarousal state. And hyperarousal state, where your brain body is disconnected, does not serve you in the concept of human design, which is using your inner authority. How do you use your inner authority? Well, you have to be in your body. It's inner, it's in your body, it's not in your head. Well, how do you get in your body and into truly your intuition and your gut feeling when you quite literally physically cannot because of tightness? You can't. And right. And this is where I get a lot of my ADHD and human design clients where, and I do have an ADHD workshop available now. You guys can sign up. I do have a lot of ADHD and human design clients that are struggling with this hyperarousal state constantly. And they think it's their human design or their ADHD. And then we work on this aspect and like really, truly loosening the tissues in their upper body, getting their posture corrected. And they're like, oh, shit, that wasn't my ADHD. That wasn't my design. Like, I feel like a whole new person. Yep, absolutely. And so for my fitness and health clients, it affects your recovery, especially if you're training at an athlete level. My athlete clients, this is a huge priority because it's going to affect your recovery, your ability to sleep and hit deep sleep and sustain deep sleep. I really want you guys to start tracking it. It's one of the first things I do with new clients because a lot of people are getting like 20 minutes of deep sleep a night. That's dangerously low. And then wondering why they are in a constant state of like feeling foggy and exhausted and, making impulsive decisions. With my fitness clients as well, it can help with hormone balance and your ability to see progress in the gym. Because when we're chronically stressed, it's going to raise cortisol. Well, again, you hear a lot of people talking about how to lower cortisol, and it's like, don't work out hard and do X, Y, and Z. Like take these supplements, do these things to lower your cortisol. Well, does this person have tightness that no matter what they quote unquote do to lower their cortisol, it's not actually going to effectively lower long term and be sustainable because there's no mind body connection. So these are all things that we want to address. So how do we fix it? Well, the good news is there are specific exercises, stresses. Oh my goodness. Words are hard today, guys. Specific exercises, stretches, and lifestyle adjustments that can release the tension in your neck and upper traps, allowing your vagus nerve to do its job. These techniques can help you move your body out of fight or flight and into a state where, again, it can heal, recover, and you can thrive and actually see the results you've been chasing. A couple suggestions that you guys can take away. One of my favorites, well, actually an overview first. What we want to look at is stretching the chest and the front of the shoulder and stretching the neck. Your second piece of this is to strengthen the lower and middle traps. Now, you're likely going to see a lot of tension in the vertebrae, the cervical and thoracic vertebrae from this upper cross syndrome is essentially what it's called. I don't necessarily recommend stretching the back as a whole. Of course, everyone's going to be an individual case, but as a whole, if I was just giving, like I am right now on a live video, on an audio that thousands of people are going to see, if I'm giving just generic advice, I would say I would avoid stretching the back. Instead, I would use things like massage balls and foam rollers to get the tissue moving again in the back, because the tissue can become stuck down and tack down your fascia in the back. You might get knots that are making your back sore. I know for myself, when I really put my health on the back burner, I would get knots under my and around my shoulder blades. So I had to get in there with the massage ball to work those knots out so I could effectively get my shoulders back and down, and so that my lower and middle traps could work effectively again. So that's what I would say as generic advice: stretch the chest, stretch the front of the shoulder, stretch the neck, and strengthen the lower back and traps. And I would recommend more of an approach of foam rollers and massage balls for the back rather than going in with stretches. And of course, if you're doing yoga and you're going to a yoga class, you want to be conscious of this as well. A good stretch for the chest actually is upward dog. No, yeah, it's upward dog, right? I don't can never keep them straight in my head. But upward dog is a great one for stretching out the chest and the neck. I'm also thinking of, oh my goodness, I can't think of the name. Puppy pose, I think it's called in yoga, where your hips are up, but your arms are down, your head's on the ground. You're going to feel like a nice stretch in your chest. You're going to feel a stretch in your lats. And why I love, I think it is puppy pose. Why I love that pose as well is it's going to stretch your lats. Now, a lot of people don't think of their lats as an internal rotator. Internal rotator means your shoulders are pulled forward, but they are. Their insertion causes them, where they're inserted, causes them to be an internal rotator. So I like puppy pose because it also encourages you to stretch the lats. So things like upward dog, fantastic one. Puppy pose, fantastic. Camel would be a great one as well, where you're really opening up the heart, opening up the chest. A bridge would be really nice, with like really stretching and opening up the chest would be a really good one as well from a yoga perspective. I got my yoga, it's so funny. My yoga certification like 15 years ago, and I dabble in it more from a polyvagal yoga perspective, but damn if I could remember any of the names. And then strengthening the lower and middle traps. So this one could look like wall angels is a really good one to do. Very easy to Google to figure out the wall angels. That will help with your posture and with starting that mind body connection as well to the lower traps. Rows, so seated rows with good posture, reverse flies to strengthen the back of the shoulder, as well as bird dog and dead bug. Those would be my exercises for this rehab that I would really recommend. And I would personally, depending on how bad your personal situation is, so everyone's going to be unique, of course. And when I work with clients, we create a personalized approach. However, what I would be looking at is if your posture is really bad, I would avoid pull-ups, I would avoid push-ups, chest press, any pressing motion or pull-up motion until you repair your posture. And if it's just a little bit out of balance and there's just minor adjustments that need to be made, I would do a 2-to-1 ratio. So if you're doing something like a chest press or a push-up, you're doing 2 back exercises for every pushing. So 2 pulling for every pushing. And again, that depends on your unique situation. It really depends on the client. Some people can get away with the 2-to-1 because it's not an extreme imbalance. And some people really need to just be like, okay, we need to stretch the chest, take a hot second away from those exercises and focus more on pulling exercises. But I would say wall angels are one of my favorites. I give them to all my clients. It is very difficult to do a wall angel correctly. So just making sure as you're doing your wall angels that you're doing them correctly, that you are not arching your back, or like some people also just put their pinky or their fingertips against the wall as they contort themselves into these interesting shapes to try and do a wall angel. But with the wall angel, that's going to strengthen your lower middle traps to improve posture and reduce tension. Now, actually, before we go on, I want to address proper posture for the wall angel. So what you're going to do, I don't have a space to do it in this room that I'm recording on, but stand with your back against a wall and your feet are about 6 inches away from the wall. Just 6 inches, not far. You're pressing your lower back. So again, like I said, where a lot of people make an error is they're going to arch that back to try and do this. And that's a sign that your posture is not ideal. They're going to arch their back. So we want to press your lower back, your shoulders, and your head into the wall. If I'm looking at you from the side, or if you have a video or someone watching from the side, they should see your feet 6 inches away from the wall, your lower back against the wall, your shoulders against the wall, your head against the wall, and your arms against the wall. So you should have the full back of your hand against the wall, as well as your forearm, your elbow, and your triceps and your shoulders, right? So again, what people will try to do with bad posture is they're going to arch their back and then kind of do this weird thing with their fingers to still touch the wall. No, we need a complete touch point from the lower back, the shoulders, the head, the back of the shoulders, and the full arm. And you're going to go down, making an angel, just like you're making a snow angel, as far as you can. Now, I would not force it, right? We do, of course, want your elbows to become fairly close to your body. Depending on your posture, that's going to be very difficult. And you might even not be able to get in that position in the first place, which I would focus a lot more on stretching the chest. And then that will start to release your shoulders, release the front of your chest so that you can actually get into the position. Because I'm going to tell you, I've been in this industry a long ass time. I've worked with thousands of people, and I used to work in big box gyms, the Athletic Club, Good Life, Lifestyle, whatever it was called. Like I've been around the block. I've seen it all. Most people, I'd say the vast majority of people that would start with me in big box gyms. In my personal studio, I had more control over who I took on as clients, but in big box gyms, majority of people could not even get into position properly for this exercise. So working with your body and noticing the restriction will be really important. But that's what I would say overall is stretching the chest, strengthening the lower and middle traps and the rhomboids, being cautious of the pushing and lean into the pulling. And then for yoga, because a lot of my clients do yoga, love it. I really like yin yoga, especially if you have a lot of tightness in the body. Focus on opening up the chest. When you're doing a posture in yoga, I want you to think, does this open my chest or does it close my chest? And really think about that. Cat-cow can be a tricky one too, right? Because you're moving between opening the back. And if you have a lot of looseness in the back, right? So if your back is loose, your chest is tight. But if you have a lot of looseness in the back, well, now you're flowing between a stretch for the back, which we don't want, and yeah, sure, an opening of the chest, but we're doing a 1-to-1 ratio there, which is not ideal. So just be aware in your yoga practice, stretching practice as well, because what often happens is people say, yeah, but my back hurts. Well, yeah, your back hurts because your chest is really tight. So we need to release the chest so that we can strengthen the back. And then when you're in proper alignment, you're not going to hurt anymore. All right, guys, I want to leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm such a big proponent of holistic approaches to thriving and holistic approaches to really achieving our goals. It's easy to throw a fitness and nutrition program at someone and then be like, still not working. Well, what is the piece that's not working? Because a body that's in chronic stress is not going to be able to lose weight. You have sky high cortisol. And it's not necessarily because you're not doing intermittent fasting or not taking the right supplements. Sometimes it's literally just like, okay, let's look at your body. Let's get you in a proper training program. And then as we fix the body, we can look at the markers and are those markers improving? If you enjoyed this, please share it with someone that could benefit from this. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.